Yo, what is going on, homies? It's your boy Stumped back for the OPTC video, and in today's video, we're taking a look at the new and improved strength team, and strength's interesting, and we're taking them into some PvP challenges, and I have a couple different variations, and we're going to sort of chat about the team with the release of the new PvP Marigold, as well as me finally pulling PvP Sasaki. This particular team does seem very interesting. So the first team we're looking at is the Burst Dex team. It's a bit more traditional in the sense that we are using a full strength build. You have options with like X-Drake as well, but as you can see on the main lines, we are running a full striker based team. If you want, you can run X-Drake in the front, drop Kid to the bench, then drop Wadger. You don't have to worry about that, but the way this team kind of operates is very striker-centric. When you are talking strikers, we're always talking Whitebeard Roger. However, strength now have a plethora of very, very good units that you can actually sub into this team that are also strength-based as well. Like you have Kaido. Kaido can halve stat Dex units. You have Kid, who's probably one of the best PvP units in the entire game. With Marigold now, and a Sandersonia or a Boa on the team, you can do some really, really cool stuff with her damage output, her attack buff, her like plus 14 HP that she gives herself, something ridiculous like that. I think it's actually like plus 12 now I'm thinking about it. But Striker, Strength also have access to stuff like Nami, Hancock, and Boa. No, Nami, Hancock, and Robin. They also have access to, like I said, X-Drake. They also have access to a lot of other very, very good Strength and Striker units that you can actually bring on the team. However, there are some more unconventional stuff that you guys can actually do as well, which is actually very, very interesting with Strength moving forward. But talking about the Strength Strikers, this is the team that I sort of put together to take on Dex. Now, I do understand there is a Strength Slasher team that runs around that versus Dex. It's very, very good with the level limit break of Kaku, but I haven't actually level limit break 5'd my Kaku, so that's something that I do need to look at doing in the future. But this particular team is probably going to be my go-to like kill Dex team, because as you can see, up against the Dex PvP Challenge Pell, this particular team actually works fairly nicely. It's got a lot going for it in terms of damage output, as well as like got bypassing defense. And it has a very, very strong bench. Strength have some excellent characters for bench. You can, like I said, you can run Kaku on the bench if you're having level rate 5. But you have access to Sandersonia, who actually makes Marigold a lot better. It means that I don't have to bring the waifus on the team, and I can get away with using something like Whitebeard and Roger, and then use Kid in the front and do some shenanigans there. We have King. King's another strength unit that can come in. He boosts fighters, but honestly, his damage output at the back end is so goddamn good. And then Whitebeard and Roger just being an absolutely phenomenal Pirate Festival unit. They can just sort of come in, and if they have their special, you bet your ass they're going to be killing 2 units. So, as you guys see here, like with the Dex Challenge fight, this fight isn't as hard as it once was, because we've had so much support, namely of Strength and some very good characters that can actually take it down. And obviously, you only have to beat it once, but once upon a time, like this was the hardest piece of content in the game. And honestly, might still be up there as like one of the hardest pieces of content in the game, even though we have a lot of teams that can actually beat it now. So, 6 seconds left. We managed to get it done. Let's move on to some interesting stuff now. Alright, so moving on to a bit more of a mirror match now, and I don't usually recommend this or doing this, but I wanted to showcase the waifus on the Strength Striker team with the new Marigold. Obviously, we have Sandersonia on the bench still. It's another option to sort of trigger the extra passive with Marigold, but utilizing the trio of Nami, Hancock, and Robin works exceptionally well as well. I find they work a little bit better on a defensive build. I feel like their stun ability and their like confuse ability, or whatever you want to call it, it works a lot nicer if you are versing, or like if you're going up against it or using it as on your defense, rather than you relying on it in the front lines. However, they do boost strikers and they do boost strength, so our whole front line gets a nice chunky buff from this particular unit, and that way we can still run Whitebeard and Roger on the bench. If you guys want to run another strength character, like you can, like I said, you can run any other strength unit in the front. Kuma would be a really good shout if you don't have Whitebeard Roger. Even though he's not getting all the striker buffs, he's still getting a lot of like the strength passives anyway. And then run Kid on the bench. But I find Kid's damage output is just so damn valuable in the front that I just had to keep him there. Sasaki can do a lot of damage as well. He can give guard, which is really, really valuable for the normal attacks. Jack just doing Jack types of things with the HP cuts, with all of the defense that he gives as well. And then Sandersonia, sorry, not Sandersonia, with Marigold. Marigold just does so much damage to the opposition when you have one either Hancock or Sandersonia on the team. because you do a 2.4 times her attack in damage to a large radius, and then another 3.2 times, which is just a disgusting amount of damage. And as long as the enemy doesn't have like a crazy amount of stats or a crazy amount of defense, this is gonna hit ridiculously hard. Now, if you're versing stuff like Dex, you can use Kaido to half stats, so that way you can like bypass that defense. But if you're versing other sort of builds, you have some like well, normally they don't have that much defense, so you need to worry about it anyway. But you can always bring some defense down reducers to sort of make your shots hit a lot harder as well. But as you can see here, up against sort of that mirror match with Sasaki versus Sasaki, we could easily take them down. Well, not easily, but fairly nicely, thanks to that confusion ability that the waifus actually have access to. Like I said, Kid in the front, like as you can keep Kid alive, he does so much damage. Ulti should hit us really hard here. The downside to this strength team is we are fairly squishy, but like I said, with the depth of our bench, like Whitebeard and Roger coming in right now with the special, up against 3 units, basically tells me that we're going to kill 2 of them once he comes around. We just knocked out 1 of them, so you'd bet your ass Whitebeard and Roger are going to clean up the rest. So let's move on to the unconventional stuff that I mentioned earlier. Alright, so up against the driven-centric build, and you might find a particular character on this team that's definitely not Striker and definitely not Strength. Shanks Crew proves to be one of the best PvP characters in the entire game. You can chuck Shanks Crew on a team, and you just get like level 10 defense after they pop their special and 30 seconds into the fight. And it just works so incredibly well. On top of that, combining Shanks Crew with Jack means you get so much HP cut, so much defensive bulk, that you can sort of just tank out some crazy hitters. On top of that, the team has some really, really good HP. Like, you're sitting at 12 with most of your characters, 18 with Sasaki, and 19 with Marigold. So you're not going to get absolutely decimated by those characters that sort of go through defense. And unless you're coming up against like a quick team, most of the time, this team's not going to have any problems taking a majority of stuff down. Dex, the big Dex bulky team, like the Dex Challenge Pell fight, it can be a bit of a hard ass because it has so much bulk itself that you kind of want to run some like characters like Kaido to sort of nerf them. But when you are going up against a variety of other stuff like Sai or well, Sai, like you can kind of melt fast. But if you're going up against like Driven, like Int Driven, or other sort of strength matches, Shanks Crew proves to be just such a phenomenal unit for your build, so that way you can just get enough defensive bulk to take the shots that you need. You have HP as well, like Shanks' special gives attack buff, he gives defense. As you can see, like Jack's sitting at 16 defense at the moment after taking a whole bunch of shots as well. We're losing a little bit of defense. We actually took out Dopey fairly early with the Marigold special. We've taken a whole bunch of fixed damage as well. However, Kid's still alive, so like he's ready to go. We've done HP cuts with Jack, HP cuts with Shanks Crew. And once Shanks Crew actually goes again, is ulti going to go there? No, they didn't. That's lovely. Once Shanks Crew goes again, we're going to get more defense on top of the 11 and 16 that we already have. Sasaki's doing crazy amounts of damage. Sandasonia's now doing crazy amounts of damage on the bench. And because we have a Marigold on the team, Sandasonia's actually giving us cooldowns to our strength units as well. So do some really, really fun stuff with strengths and then sort of having Shanks Crew just give them a lot more sustain. Now, it's not obviously a traditional strength team or a strength striker team or even strikers in general, but just literally having Shanks Crew on this team provides so much in terms of how much defensive bulk that you get for those strength characters. Namely stuff like Kid, so to keep him around for a little bit longer. But again, you have so much depth on the bench that you can still run Whitebeard and Roger, who will pop off at the back end of a fight. Being 2 units if they come in with their special, but most of the time you have some good damage there. On top of that, you have King still just sitting there in the weights that will go through defense as well. Kid here is just not dying. He's being very arrogant, but there you guys go. So very, very unconventional, but not only is it unconventional, it can do some really crazy shit. And when I say it can do some crazy shit, I mean it can do some real crazy shit. Coming up against the Blue Jam Challenge, the quick driven Blue Jam fight that has Sugar in the front lines. Now, if you guys don't know what Sugar does, Sugar reduces strength characters' cooldowns by level 7. Yes, level 7. And on top of that, she gives quick characters level 7 CT speed. We have level 9 cooldown reduction. Negative cooldown reduction. Level 9 on Jack and Kid and all these characters. And they are just building their shit up so fast. But with Shanks Crew on the team, we can just build up enough defense to sort of keep us going. As you saw there, Kaido hits ridiculously hard. Kaido's not meant to hit that hard anymore. Kaido's dropped off like crazy, but Shanks Crew going right on that 30-second mark is so good for us, because now we're sitting at 20 defense on our middle units, or our strength characters, and Shankscrew himself was sitting at 15 before that defense drop of Magellan. That amount of defense is just disgustingly powerful, because now we can actually just tank all of the shots coming our way. On top of that, we take all the defensive drop that Sugar's going to do, all the speed drops, and now we're back down to 9, but it put us in a good spot to sort of tank out the shots of stuff like Blue Jam. Porkamy doesn't matter, because Porkamy's going to hit us ridiculously hard with the 4k fixed damage anyway, but the idea here is to keep Kid alive long enough to at least get his special off once, after the Jack HP cuts, after the Shankscrew HP cuts, and then you can have Marigold come in with all the damage that she can provide, and then you have all of the damage that Sasaki can provide as well. Once Shanks goes again, you're going to get more HP. And as you can see, like, it's 45 seconds left in the fight, and Sasaki only just used his special. That's how much stupidity that Sugar puts on your team. If Akainu was in the front lines, obviously, like, we probably would melt a lot quicker, because the amount of damage output that Akainu does with his HP cuts and stuff as well can be pretty nuts. But to see the a strength-centric build take down this particular PvP challenge is just, it's pretty nuts to see what they can actually do with the help of some of these crazy PvP units like Shankscrew and Whitebeard and Roger. But all in all, kind of get hit so hard. All in all, the strength team now has a lot more diversity, and its dimensions have expanded drastically with the release of not only Sasaki, but this new Marigold unit, bringing Sandersonia back into the play and bringing the waifus back into the conversation too. But on top of that, we are now getting level limit breaks for stuff like PvP rare recruits, and Kaku has been a fantastic addition to the strength team, especially when we are looking at taking down stuff like Dex. These challenge fights have become a lot of fun to showcase this, because these challenge fights might not be the most optimal teams to run in the front, but the amount of stats and the amount of bulk that these units have is absolutely insane. Like, this fight has over 100,000 combat power, which is just unheard of for any regular team. So showcasing them here is a lot of fun to do, but look, take this as a grain of salt, because these particular teams will still work against regular play, but ideally, like, you're never really running a strength team up against an anti-strength team with, like, a Akainu and Sugar and stuff like that. But if you enjoyed the video, belt the like button, hit the subscribe button, do all that good stuff. Let me know your thoughts and opinions in the comment section below of strength while you're down there. Like I said, do all that good stuff, but most importantly, enjoy the rest of your day. As always, homies, thank you for watching, and I'll catch you all in the next one. Let's